Yep. Welcome everyone to our second installment of our Staying Clear Through Crisis, Maintaining Academic Excellence. Glad to see everyone here. Glad that everyone is safe and hope that everyone is prepared for a fantastic show. As we always do, I will start with a libation where we pay homage and respect to those that have passed on and those who we hold in high regard. The first group of individuals I'd like to pour libation for are those that unfortunately have lost their lives as a result of this COVID crisis. I know that there are so many families, so many Eagle families that are actually going through a difficult time dealing with the loss of loved ones. And I certainly want to pour libation in spirit of them. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Secondly, I'd like to pour libation for those essential workers who are continuing to go out, continuing to sacrifice themselves, those grocery store workers, those teachers, those MTA workers, those police officers, those medical workers. We have such high regard for you and thank you for the sacrifice that you give every single day. Ashe, ashe, ashe. And lastly, I'd like to pour libation again to our ancestors whose shoulders we stand on, who have gone through much more difficult times than we currently are, despite how difficult it may seem. There were many of those that sacrificed so much, and we have to always remember their memories. We always have to remember their spirit to keep us going strong every single day. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Okay, again, welcome everyone. Glad to see everyone here. We are in store for a fantastic show. Staying clear through crisis, being the confident leaders that demonstrate academic excellence and overall, of course, resilience. So first I want to jump right in and just introduce our very distinguished guest. First, I will start with Mr. Fleurimond, who is a senior from the Eagle Academy from Brooklyn, graduating class of 2020. He is a recent Gates Millennial Scholarship winner, which is a fantastic honor. And I know he's going to talk about that shortly. Welcome, Neo. Glad you're here. Secondly, we have Mr. Kareem Alkassar, junior class of 2021, Eagle Staten Island. He is the school president. He is a fantastic young man. And we are so glad that you are here, Kareem. And I know you are actually, you have interest in attending Virginia State University. So I know if you continue to do the things that you've been doing, you will make that happen. Our third scholar, it's interesting, I like to refer to him as the John Morant of the group. He's the rookie, right? But he's bringing it strong. We have Mr. TyRon Simmons from Eagle Queens, graduating class of 2023. Fantastic young man. He's been named an Eagle Academy ambassador. And so again, kudos to you, young brother. I'm glad that you are here. And lastly, but certainly not least, we have Mr. Payton, who is the AP ELA instructor at Eagle Brooklyn. And Mr. Payton is actually pursuing his doctorate in education policy from NYU. So I know that you are working hard in the classroom and you're doing what you need to do so that you can create policy to impact even more young men. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us for this very special recording. And I know the young people listening are in for a treat. So Neo, I will start with you being the elder statesman of the group. If you could just explain to the audience, what is the Gates Millennial Scholarship and what career field would you like to pursue after finishing your educational journey? And so if you could just give us context of what that journey actually will be, that would be great.
Okay, so basically the Gates Millennium Scholarship, it's a full ride scholarship for your undergrad, postgraduate, and whatever education you want to pursue beyond your regular undergrad and grad. So like that includes medicine, law, just so like basically any form of education beyond your regular standard bachelor's.
Okay, and what career field did you plan on following?
For me, I wanted to actually pursue law. Basically, especially in New York, I noticed that there's a lot of educational inequities based on cultural, like background. So like it's very hard for students of low income to actually get the necessary education that they want to pursue. And I want to fix that and like advocate for the students that deserve to have an equal opportunity to like their white counterparts and, you know, pursue the careers that they want to pursue without having to actually, you know, worry about the drawbacks and like, you know, stuff like that.
Wow, wow. Very, very well said, brother. And so that educational journey includes you again going on the Wesleyan in the fall. Congratulations for that full ride scholarship, going on to law school, graduate school, and pursuing that career in law. That is fantastic. And again, for those that do not know, and I guess Kareem and TyRon, just to give you some historical context, Neo is actually the second Eagle Academy student in the history of Eagle, right? Since we've started, right? Back in 2004 is when we got started. The other young man's name is Jose Martinez, who's actually a science teacher at Eagle Harlem. But you are the second young man in Eagle history to achieve that fantastic accomplishment. So kudos to you, brother. I really, really congratulate you. Great job, snapping, right? So Kareem, how about you, brother? Like, so in terms of, I know I mentioned you want to go to Virginia State, but what's your favorite subject in school? And again, what career field would you like to follow?
So my favorite subject in school so far right now is it has to be U.S. history and global history, because I really enjoy learning about other people's and other countries' histories. I just like to be globally conscious, as we say at Eagle Staten Island.
Did we freeze? I think Kareem, he might have froze a little bit. So until we get Kareem back, TyRon, why don't you jump in and answer that same question? What's your favorite subject? I know you're in the 9th grade, you're just starting out. What's your favorite subject in school?
Well, right now, my
favorite you want to follow?
Right now, my favorite subject in school is chemistry, and the career that I would like to follow is educating. Like, I want to become a teacher myself.
Wow.
And that's mostly because I've come to realize how impactful it is on the future to help other generations become adults and become kind and conscious adults of how they are and how they affect other people. So I just wanted to, I wanted to be one of the people that helps the next generation become the better people, and better than us, better than generations before us.
Wow, that's a fantastic answer, brother. And certainly to have men of color is important in the classroom, right? So that, you know, young men have an example to look to and something that they can aspire to be. And so Kareem, I know you jumped back on, brother. We lost you for a second. But as Eagles do, we stay resilient. We don't break stride. We keep it going. So if you could continue with your answer, I know, what's your favorite subject in school and what career field do you want to follow?
So my favorite subject in school right now, it has to be global history and U.S. history, because I love to be globally conscious. I love to learn about other people. I love to learn about other cultures. And the career that I want to pursue is aviation. I want to become a pilot, and the journey is not going to be, it's not going to be smooth sailing. It's not going to be like, oh, everything's handed to you, because when it comes to aviation, it's a competitive field that, that everybody's going into, and it's, everybody goes into it for the money, but really, I want to go into it because I enjoy flying, I enjoy traveling, and becoming a pilot is such a big responsibility, and such just like it makes the person feel good, because you're flying a plane, which is such like a miracle to me, because it's tons and tons of pounds that is just gliding through the air like it's nothing.
Well, that certainly is a great occupation to follow. You talk about flying a big plane. You certainly have to have confidence to do that, right? When we talk about staying Eagle clear, so I applaud you for that. So great plans from everybody. Everybody I know is staying on target and staying focused. So with that being said, TyRon, right, everybody has great aspirations. I know that you have to stay academically strong. So my next question is actually for you. Being academically strong is a pillar of Eagle and should be the goal of all young men. What are you doing during this time to remain focused on your academics? And what is your daily routine?
Well, what I'm doing right now to stay focused is making sure I keep up in contact with all my teachers, and all of my friends to make sure that we're all on track. And my routine right now is waking up in the morning and around 9 or 10 and getting breakfast and immediately trying to schedule myself for the day to see what meetings I have with my teachers for that day, what assignments I should get done for that day, and just make sure all my due dates, make sure I get everything done on time and try to fit everything in for at least 4 hours a day just to get myself into some type of schedule even during this time.
Yeah, I think staying on schedule is so important, right? Particularly during this time, right? You're used to the schedule of school. So it's important that you establish your own schedule. So I think that's great advice. Kareem, as TyRon said, right? The most successful people often find a routine that works for them. What are some things that you did before this COVID crisis that contributed towards your academic success?
So some things and some routines that I was going through when I was in school before this COVID-19 crisis is that I had built relationships with all my teachers all around my English teachers, math teachers, global teachers, staff, janitors. I built relationship with principals. Yeah, because you never know who's gonna be able to help you. So that's a routine that I was going through. I was just making sure that I built good relationships with everybody in my building, even like students, younger students, because we're always learning something new, not only from people that are older than you, but you can learn something new from a sixth grade scholar. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just you build that relationship, and it's gonna help you in the long run, 100%.
Mm. Wise words, relationship builder. And that's why you're the school president, right? So it goes hand in hand. Great. So Neo, you heard from your younger brothers, and as a senior, right, who's on the verge of graduation, you've accomplished so much during your academic history at Eagle Academy. What advice would you give your younger brothers so that they can also be successful in the classroom as they move towards college?
Okay. So basically for me, I really centered myself around those who actually who prioritize succeeding as much as I did. Like a lot of times people fall into the wrong crowds, and that ends up, being detrimental to like their success, because, some people honestly are negative influences. So I basically made my friend groups, and like Kareem said, made relationships with people who were pretty like-minded with me, and also focused on succeeding. So in Eagle, I have like my friend group that, we help each other with math, we help each other with our just in general with our assignments. And then outside of Eagle, I actually have my extracurricular program called SEO, and that's basically a cohort of students who come from low-income families and are striving to, get into and through college. And so like now today's like college decision day. It's like we're all celebrating our success, because that's something we've worked for the past 4 years, and it's like a really empowering moment. Even though we're not actually together, it's like seeing all the posts on Instagram and Snapchat, just how much how far we've come. It's empowering.
Right. That's fantastic, and that's a great program, SEO, Scholars for Educational Opportunity. And so I know that's something that's offered at all of the schools. So that's fantastic. And it's interesting because one through line that I'm hearing from all of you is relationships are really key in helping you stay focused, right? And again, just going back to the brotherhood and idea of Eagle Academy, surround yourself with like-minded people who also are positive and have positive goals in mind, and you certainly will reach that goal, right? If you work hard. So Neo, you mentioned something else, though, that I think is also key, because you can surround yourself with the right people, but being a part of extra programs, I think, is also key and critical. Could you just expand on that a little bit and maybe even recommend some other programs that your brothers could participate in that could be beneficial towards their success?
Mm-hmm. So, it's pretty easy to just go home after school and just like play video games, or, do whatever, and just, after school's done, just relax. But I knew that if I wanted to guarantee a really strong position in a college that I wanted to go to, I would need to show those schools that I do much more than just, have academics. So like I mentioned, I'm a part of SEO. Last summer, I ended up traveling abroad to Spain. I'm a musician. I played a saxophone. I'm part of this program that advocates for integration within NYC schools called Team Take Charge.
Right.
This year I was supposed to be joining baseball, but that didn't, happen. But it's just just a bunch of programs that I really am fond of. And, because of that, colleges notice that I'm really well-rounded.
Yes.
And, they want to incorporate me into like a lot of programs at their school because they know I'm a really well-rounded kid. So like I mentioned, programs that I think that scholars should take advantage of would be SEO. Take advantage of like a lot of programs, within your school yourselves. So like music, art, whatever art programs that your school offers. I would also suggest get the opportunity to travel abroad because a lot of times being centered in just your borough, you don't really get to broaden your horizon and see the world for what it is. And having the opportunity to travel abroad, my world changed because the world just doesn't revolve around me. It's like a whole different community. It's a whole different world over there. And people, you guys can play sports. You guys can do whatever meets your niche.
Right. There you go. Again, great advice from the valedictorian of Eagle Brooklyn. Mr. Payton, I'm going to shift to you, right? And you're an instructor, and I know we might have a lot of young men who are sitting home and they feel disconnected and they're just kind of wondering, and they want to have success just like Brother Neo, right? And like our two other panelists, TyRon and Kareem. You deal with a lot of students and grade a lot of assignments. What are some things that students who stand out from others do on a regular basis? And how important is it for students to advocate for themselves if they need assistance and stay in contact with teachers, particularly during this time?
I believe that the students that stand out the most are the students that ask the most questions, that try first, and they come with solutions, or they really think about the whole entire problem rather than just asking you immediately, like, okay, what this is. I think that that's important. It builds the critical thinking component of learning. I think that a lot of students, sometimes they get stuck in well, you're the teacher, you need to give me the answer. And a lot of times I like to kind of reflect that back to the student and say, okay, come to me with some idea of what you think this is, and then we can talk about what you don't understand. And I think that students who do that are extremely successful. Also, students who really prioritize getting things done on time, students who really put effort into their assignments. I tell students all the time that your parents spent a lot of time naming you. You should be proud of whatever you put your name on. So if you only spend 5 minutes on an assignment that should have taken you an hour, then that means that you are not really caring about your name. And I think that we have to establish this idea of legacy. So if you're going to sign your name on something, whether it's a project, whether it's an essay, and you know that it's not great, then maybe you should rethink how much time you put into stuff. So I think that that's kind of another thing of using your name as a legacy. Don't just tag your name on everything just because you just want to get a particular grade. Because at the end of the day, I always tell students anyone can get an A, but did you actually learn? And I think that learning is really more important to me than giving student aids. And the last thing that I'll say is that students who are constantly putting themselves to learn, not just from books, but other avenues such as podcasts and YouTube and things like that. I think that there's so much to learn that goes beyond books sometimes. And I think that we have to also adjust the way we learn. We don't always learn in a building. We don't always learn from a book. Those are very important places to learn. But that learning is, like what some of the young men said here, learning is asking your Eagle brothers about various topics, because everybody here is an expert at something.
Right.
So leveraging the expertise of your Eagle brothers is just as important as you open up a book and learning. So I think that that is extremely important, like how you leverage, how you push for understanding, how you take value and pride in your name, and really, really, really kind of like building that community. I think are the things that are extremely important. And students like Neo, who actually teach, kind of exemplifies all of those things.
Wow, fantastic. Such an impressive group that we have here on this second episode. Great first round of answers. So guys, I'm gonna have a question for all three of you, and I'm actually gonna pose it to Kareem first. All right. You all have had a great level of success at your respective schools. People often will celebrate you for this and see the glory, but don't often see the story behind that glory. Please describe a class that you had during your educational journey that presented a challenge to you. How did you overcome that challenge? And how much time each day do you dedicate towards your schoolwork? Kareem.
Great question, Mr. Barnette. Great question. So I'm probably going to say the class, and everybody's probably going to most likely agree with me. The class has given me the most challenge throughout my entire schooling years, and basically everywhere is math class. It still poses a challenge today, but the way that I've overcome, so this year I'm taking Algebra 2, so the way that I've been trying to overcome having that challenge, because you can't just stop because it's a roadblock. You got to get over that. So the way that I've been trying to get over it is I've been trying to get in contact with teach. So before this COVID crisis, I was always either early to school trying to get, some information before class starts, trying to review the lesson of the day before, or I would stay late after school if the teacher's schedule permitted me to. And so basically it's just another obstacle that you just have to go over. So don't think of it as a class. Just think of it as an obstacle. So think of it as a sport, basketball. Whenever you start playing basketball, you can't right away know how to do a crossover. You know what I'm saying? That's the obstacle that you still have to overcome. So whenever you think of that, whenever you take that mentality and then you put it onto a class, you're more likely, you're guaranteed that you're going to get over that obstacle faster than anybody else. Because, that crossover can be that one math equation that you can get over. And then once you get that one math equation, you get the other one, And now you just see yourself moving up the ladder. And now instead of the teachers helping you, you're helping your other brothers out that were in the same position as you. You give them the advice, you give them the information that they need to succeed. And because whenever you help your brothers, it's not only you moving to the top, it's everybody moving with you, So, and time that I dedicate it's not like a crazy amount of time. I don't say like 5-6 hours doing an assignment, because then I'm just going to get bored and just say, you know what, forget all this. I dedicate about an hour and a half every day for each assignment. So like today is Friday, I'll do English for an hour and a half. Tomorrow is Saturday, I'll do math. Sunday, I'll do science. And especially that students that have AP classes, that's an extra class that you have to take care of. Also dedicate time to that, because you never know what that hour and a half can do for you in the long run.
Mm-hmm. And again, going back to the notion of having a schedule, right? Making sure that you are productive every single day. Fantastic. TyRon, how about you, young man? How about you? What struggle have you had along the way that you'd like to share?
One struggle, class that I struggled in was actually chemistry, which is my favorite class. In the beginning of the year, I didn't really like it because I didn't get it immediately. And that's one of my character flaws, is once I don't get something as soon as I started, I kind of get deterred from it. But with this, I kind of since I'm getting a Regents credit for it, I kind of got angry actually with myself because I didn't understand it. And the anger actually pushed me to learn more about chemistry. And throughout the year, I've started to become more and more fluent in chemistry. And I've actually become one of the people at the top of my class because I've pushed myself to do more and more and read more about the subject and, get more knowledge about it. And every day I try to dedicate at least 4 hours to my schoolwork recently. In school, you know, it would be different because it would be all day. But right now, it's just about 4 to 5 hours a day.
Okay, hard work pays off. I know the marking period just ended.
Yeah.
So I know you're excited to see what that end product is looking like. And our Millennial Gates Scholarship winner, class valedictorian, right? I know sometimes people see the glory, but they may not understand the story that went behind that. So how about you, Brother Neo?
Yeah, like my peers, TyRon and Kareem stated, you know, STEM fields in general, like, always gave me difficulty. So I'm not gonna, like, you know, elaborate much more on that. But, like, I think another internal struggle that I faced was accepting that in general, like, when it comes to academics, I'm not the best. And, like, coming from a school where that's been heavily, you know, stated, where, like, oh, Neo's so smart, and oh, Neo, if you need help, go to Neo. When I was put in an environment where it's like, you know, Neo wasn't the best at a subject, it was really, really, you know, ruined my confidence, because, you know, coming from an environment where it's like everything was so, you know, I got it like that. And now I'm put in like a position where there are people who understand the material much faster than me. It was pretty hard, because, like, you know, I needed to find a way to, like, understand the material at the same rate that they were going to. And that really, you know, came from being vulnerable with my peers and my educators, where it's like, okay, I need help. I need you guys to help me understand this stuff. And once you know, lose that weight of, you know, that mentality of thinking that you're the best in any position, then things start to come easier. And then, like, you know, you be more accepting to ask people for help, but also people are going to be more accepting to ask you for help.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a story of resilience for you. And so great answers again for all of you young men. Thank you so much. And so back to you, Mr. Payton. As an English teacher, I know you understand the importance of reading on a regular basis, especially outside books, right? Things that aren't necessarily assigned by a teacher. What books would you recommend for young men of color to read that not only will help strengthen their literacy skills, but are also important in their development as young men?
Yes, so I actually struggled with this just a little bit, because obviously as an English teacher, there's thousands of books that I would recommend, because there's just so many great books out there. But the thing that I noticed as I was sifting was there's a lot of books that do center Black and brown characters, but sometimes in the most negative light. So I kept going through these books and I kept thinking to myself, you know, while these books are great and they show resilience, do I really want to recommend books that some of our students or what the media might portray our students to be, or whatever the case may be, such as gun violence and things like that? And as I was going through that, I said, well, you know what? I'm going to recommend books that limit that and empower our young men and really give them another perspective on things. So I kind of removed a lot of those top books, like The Usual Suspects, and kind of like went in another direction. So the first one is more inspirational in nature, which could definitely help anybody from 6 to 12, especially our graduating seniors. This one is The Reach, 40 Black Men Speaking on Living, Leading, and Succeeding by Ben Jealous and Travian Shorters. It's an excellent book because it's very diverse. It talks about different people that have been successful, such as CEOs, union leaders, community organizers, politicians, actors, scientists, youth leaders, entrepreneurs, etc. And it really talks about what were their dreams and the steps that they took to get to those dreams. And the stories are really diverse. It's very beautiful because it's written in their own language, so you get different experiences as you're reading it. And it's really meant to kind of inspire you. And whether you are leaning more to being a politician or even an actor or a scientist, there is somebody in that book that can speak to you about their journey. So I think that that's an excellent book, and it can definitely empower a lot of our young men as they're going through this COVID crisis. And before the COVID crisis, I think we all could use a little bit of inspiration from people that have proven to be successful in various fields.
Yeah, it sounds like a fantastic book. Could you just repeat the title one more time again? Because I know young men heard what it's about, and they might want to, pick that up and begin reading that. Sure.
So it's called Reach, 40 Black Men Speaking on Living, Leading, and Succeeding by Ben Jealous and Travian Shorters.
Okay, Reach. Okay, great.
And it has a fantastic foreword by Russell Simmons.
Okay. And is there another selection you'd recommend?
Yeah, so there's other, so I have some other books that I think would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So the other one that I have is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho.
Mm.
The Alchemist is a great story because it is about a young man who goes on this journey. And it's about all of the wisdom and all the things that he goes through basically to discover who he is. And I think that's great because it really builds on the idea that sometimes you need experiences to develop who you are. And sometimes what you need is deep inside who you are already. Like it's already there. And you
Mm-hmm.
have to find what is there already, as well as gain new experiences and insights. So I think it's a fantastic read. And anybody as young as 13 all the way up into, you know, very old, you can definitely pick up this book and be inspired.
Yeah, it's a fantastic book. I've actually read it, right? And pay attention to the signs around you, right? And again, I know you young brothers, you certainly have done that. And so as we prepare to wind down, young brothers, I actually have my last question for you. You know, each of us, you know, have house icons at each respective Eagle Academy, and you know, those are men who we present as role models for you to kind of pattern your behavior after and to give you inspiration. So, as young men who exemplify academic excellence, what do the following quotes from some of these house icons mean to you? And so, Kareem, I want to start with you. And the quote is from Che Guevara. The quote is, "The first duty of a revolutionary is to be educated." What does that quote mean to you?
So I'm just gonna take, you know, a couple words out of that whole quote, and I'm gonna go revolutionary. You know, that word revolutionary just sticks with me because it means change, right? So, and then the word right after it is education, right? So just simplify that, change, education, you know. So to me, that quote means that if you want to make a change in the world, if you want to change anything, not even in the world, just in your school, if you want to just, you know, do something different, you have to be educated, because you can't just go out and just change the world without having no type of knowledge. Because people say the most dangerous amount of knowledge is none or little, you know, because you might have a little bit of knowledge on this little thing. You might go out and, you know, try to make it big, and then people are just like, no, it's not what you think, you know. So just being educated will change the world.
Wow. Okay. And TyRon, I know you are at Eagle Queens, and you actually there's a W.E.B. Du Bois House at Eagle Queens, and so I have a quote for you from Brother Du Bois. It goes, "Education and work are the levers to uplift a people."
So what I took from that was that you really can't do anything. And like Kareem said, you can't make change without having a type of education. And you also can't get anything without hard work. Because if you go by codependency and having to rely on someone else to do things for you and work for you, then when that's over and you're alone, you can't fend for yourself. You can't survive because you were so used to having other people work for you and not working. So if you don't work, then you just can't live. So that's what I took from that.
Okay, all right. And again, that education, it opens up doors, right? And it will certainly raise a people. And last but not least, right, Mr. Fleurimond, I have a quote for you from Brother Malcolm X. And the quote goes, "Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today."
Basically, I think like a lot of times we get this mentality that just because, you know, we're kids, we can't really make a huge impact on our communities and the world. I think personally, kids probably have much more of an impact on this world than a lot of the adults do. A perfect example was during the climate march, where a lot of high schoolers took initiative for themselves to actually, you know, broadcast that there is an issue within our world and that needs to be solved. Meanwhile, we have a loser as a president who's not, you know, taking, you know, he's not acknowledging it as much as we are. So I think, you know, the fact that it says something a lot about our world, that kids and well, not even kids, just people, young people in general have a lot to do with our future. So education and understanding a lot of issues that consist within our world, I feel like if they understand those problems that do consist, then they can have a really big impact on how they actually end up being solved.
Yes, yeah, you're absolutely right, because any change that has taken place around the world, and particularly in this country, when it comes to revolution and just changing injustices, it's always been led by young people. So you're absolutely right. As young men, you are more empowered than you know. So again, great answers, great answers. I want to give the panel a round of applause, right, for the knowledge and wisdom that you gave the audience. We are about to close out. Again, thank you so much for being our guest on the second installment of our Staying Clear Through Crisis series. Do want to give a couple shout outs before we end. The first shout out, I want to say happy birthday to my man Nash, who turned 10 years old yesterday. He is double digits now. So I remember you guys, I'm sure you remember when you turned 10 and how big of a deal that was. And just want to share an interesting fact with you guys. This past Wednesday was actually the birthday of another house icon, Mr. Duke Ellington, who is a house icon at Eagle Brooklyn. So happy birthday also to Mr. Ellington. So brothers, we will close out our show as we traditionally do. We started with our libation, and we will close out by reciting the poem Invictus. Just want to remind our listeners to tune in next Friday for our new episode of Staying Clear Through Crisis series, where we have some young men who are scholar athletes, and they will talk about the road that it took for them to achieve some of the things that they've achieved. So, gentlemen, as we close out, let's make it strong. Invictus straight.
Out of the night that covers me, black as a pit from pole to pole. I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul.
In a fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud, and under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloody button bout.
Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, yet the minister of the years shall find me unafraid.
It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments to scroll. I am the master by fate, I'm the captain of my soul.
I am the master of my fate, I am the captain of my soul.
I am the master of my fate, I am the captain of my soul.
I am the master of my fate, I am the captain of my soul.
We are the masters of our fate, captains of our soul. Thank you once again for joining us. Staying Clear Through Crisis. Young men, have a fantastic week, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next broadcast. Take care.